Welcome to the International Short Course in Advanced Physics, be conducted by KG Somaya College of Science and Commerce. I am Dr. Puneet Kumar from Department of Physics, University of Lucknow, India, and I will be talking to you about plasmas for future. I have divided my content into three modules. The first one is the fundamentals of plasma physics. The second will be the research and applications of plasma, and the third one will be plasma medicine. So right now we will be talking about the first module, that is fundamentals of plasma physics. In this module, the outline will be first we will define what is plasma, definition of plasma, factors defining plasma, then we will switch on to properties of plasma, then we will have an idea where can we find plasma, then we will study how we can generate plasma, the plasma sources, and the plasma parameters. So we start with what is plasma. Basically, when we start studying matter, we are told that there are three stages of matter: solid, liquid, and gas. These three phases have a well-defined characteristic. The solid one is a well-defined lattice pattern that are tightly packed. The particles vibrate about their mean positions but cannot move from here to there. And when we supply energy to the solid, like when you supply energy to an ice, it melts and forms the liquid. In liquid, what we see, the particles are slightly free to move from their mean positions. They can vibrate, of course, but and there is no regular arrangement of uh, particles. They take the shape of the vessel. When we supply more energy to the liquid, it is converted into gas with no regular arrangement of particles. The particles vibrate and move freely in the space. And to a gaseous state, when we supply more energy, these particles get ionized. These atoms get ionized, and the electrons escape from the atoms, and we are left with electrons and positively charged ions. Now, when the particles are free, and the matter is composed of electrons and ions, that means the particles are charged. And for a charged particle, it is quite compulsory that they will be influenced by external electric and magnetic fields. And the separation of the charges within the ionized gas brings in new forces and its properties become different from those of neutral atoms and molecules. The plasma was first observed by William Crookes in 1979 when he was performing experiments with the Crookes tube, and he observed a fluorescence and he called this as a radiant matter. Now, how the plasma definition came into existence. In the 19th century, there was a physiologist called Purkinje, and he used the word plasma, meaning formed or molded, for the clear liquid that remains after the removal of the corpuscular material in the blood. But in 1922, that is in the start of the 20th century, Langmuir proposed that the electrons, ions, and neutrals in an atomic ionized gas would similarly be considered as corpuscular material entertained in some kind of a fluid medium, and he called this entertaining medium as plasma. Since then, there is always a confusion, and the plasma scientists have to explain to friends and acquaintances they are not studying blood, but they are studying the fourth state of matter, that is plasma. The plasma can be defined. It is a word to describe a wide variety of macroscopically neutral substances containing many interacting free electrons and ionized atoms and molecules, which exhibit collective behavior due to the long-range Coulomb forces. But not all the media containing charged particles, however, can be classified as plasma. For a collection of interacting charge and neutral particles to exhibit plasma behavior, it must satisfy certain conditions or criteria for plasma existence. The three primary factors that affect plasma are, since we know that plasma is an electrically neutral medium of unbound positive and negative particles, that is, the macroscopically, the plasma is neutral and is composed of positive and negative charges. Although these particles are unbound, yet they are free, no, not free in the sense of not experiencing any force. The three factors which define a plasma are macroscopic neutrality, Debye shielding, and plasma oscillation. Now we study these three factors independently. The first one is the Debye length. The Debye length is a measure of the distance over which the influence of the electric field on an individual charged particle is felt by the other particles. You can see that this is a particle with a radius small r, but the particle is having an influence in an area vicinity to it, and the radius of this vicinity circle is lambda t, which we call Debye length, and is mathematically described by this expression. Now, this Debye length, there is a sphere being constructed at this Debye length with the radius as the Debye length, and its purpose is to shield the electrostatic influence of the particles outside of the sphere. The physical dimensions of the system should be large as compared to the Debye length, and the number of electrons in a Debye sphere should also be large. That means that the purpose of this is to account for the interparticle interaction. We can't have a plasma with a single particle. There ought to be many particles in the plasma. The second one is the macroscopic neutrality. In absence of any external disturbance, a plasma is macroscopically neutral. We define this as Ne is the concentration of the electrons, Ni is the concentration of the ions, which is multiplied by the number of the ions. This criteria means that interactions in the bulk of the plasma are more important than those at the edges where boundary effects may take place. You can see that the important area is in the middle where the interactions are going on. The third one is the plasma frequency. By some external means, small charge separation is produced. The oscillations are produced when the disturbance is removed instantaneously. And these oscillations have a frequency, what we term as the plasma frequency. And the collisions between the electrons and the neutral particles damp these oscillations. And under the above conditions, the electrostatic interactions dominate over the process of ordinary gas kinetics. And if the frequency of the incoming radiation is greater than the plasma frequency, then the plasma is termed as the underdense plasma. If the frequency of the incoming radiation is less than the plasma frequency, it is termed as the overdense plasma. And for successful propagation of the incoming radiation through the plasma, it should be underdense. That is, the frequency of the incoming radiation should be greater than the plasma frequency. The properties. Since we know basically that the plasma is a charged medium with free electrons and ions, so it is obvious that it will be more conducting than the gas. As we know, we have studied that it is composed of free electrons and ions, and they are independently acting species. The velocity distribution is often not Maxwellian in the plasma, where in the gas it is perfectly Maxwellian. The interactions in the gas are binary, that is, two particle collisions are the rule. And in plasma, they are collective waves or organized motion of the plasma, and we have also nonlinear effects. We can commonly found plasma in three vicinities. As we know that 99% of the matter outside our planet Earth is plasma. So the majority of the plasma is found in the space and the astrophysical plasma. The space and astrophysical plasmas constitutes stars, solar wind, interplanetary medium, interstellar medium, intergalactic medium, Jupiter flux tube, accretion disks, nebulae, etc. The terrestrial plasmas are lightning, magnetosphere, ionosphere, plasmasphere, polar aurorae, polar wind, upper atmospheric lightning, sprites, luminous fire, etc. The artificial plasma, that is the plasma we produce in the lab, are the plasma displays, neon lamps, fluorescent lamps, iron thrusters, spacecraft shields, ozone generator, fusion energy, electric arc, plasma bell, Tesla coils, semiconductor devices, surface treatment, etc. We start with the more distant and the more highlighted plasma state, which we occur in sun. As we know, with sun nuclear fusion is going on, and nuclear fusion, wherever nuclear fusion is going on, plasma is. The interplanetary medium is also in the plasma state. The interstellar galactic medium is in the plasma state. This is the interstellar intergalactic medium. This is in the plasma state. In fact, more than 99% of the universe consists of plasma. Our planet Earth is one of the few places in the universe where the other three states of matters dominate over the fourth state. Where do we find plasma near the Earth? Now, we talked about the stars. Now we come nearer to the Earth. First one is the solar winds. This is plasma from the sun traveling outwards with a speed of 500 km per second. It gets deflected by the Earth's magnetic field. The second one is the lightning. The sprite jets that we see in the Earth's atmosphere. These are auroras. They are also called northern and southern lights. In northern latitudes, they are called aurora borealis, and in southern part, they are called aurora australis. Now we come to the ionization belts. The ionosphere is a shell of ionized gas that surrounds the Earth, stretching from a height of about 50 kilometer to more than 1000 kilometer. At this height, the atmosphere is so thin that ionized gas by the sun remains ionized. These layers appear as ionization belts around the Earth. The radio communication around the globe has been possible mainly due to the reflection from these belts. St. Elmo's fire is a bright blue or violet glow appearing like fire in some circumstances from tall, sharply pointed structures such as lightning rods, ship masts, church spires and chimneys, and also on aircraft wing. Although referred to as a fire, it is in fact plasma. The strong electric field around a pointed object causes ionization of the air molecules, producing the plasma glow visible in the low light conditions. Now we come to the artificial plasma, the fluorescent lamps, the mercury lamps, the sodium vapor lamps, neon signs are all examples of plasma-based light sources. The plasma TV is based on the emission of light from plasma. Plasma lamp is also an example of plasma light. Now, this is a description of in a common household what devices we have, which consists of plasma TV, plasma coated jet turbine blades, plasma manufactured LED panels, laser cut cloth. It's a cloth treatment. We will study it later on. Plasma based fuel cells, plasma's multiplier, plasma heated combustion, ozone water purification, silicon for solar cells, microelectronics, sterilization and pharmaceutical production. This will be studied in the third module. A plasma test treated polymers, plasma treated textiles, plasma treated hardware stent, plasma treated window glazing, etc. This is yet another example of plasma in our household. It's quite a recent one. And we now have plasma in the food packaging industry also. We also have xenon lights. LED backlight is also having plasma. And the rest are also similar. The camera lens optical coating has also been done, the plasma coating, what we call. We will be dealing with it in the next module. So these are the plasma applications that we have in the common household. And so we end this. Now we come to the laboratory sources of plasma. We can create a plasma in the lab through an arc discharge. This is an electric discharge in a gas at high pressure, for example, flash in a camera. The second one is the glow discharge. This is the electric discharge in gas at low pressure, like in fluorescent lights and neon lights. The plasma is also produced by radio frequency discharge in low pressure gases, by ohmic heating, like in a large devices called tokamak. They are being employed for fusion generation. When a laser light is focused on any material, depending on the intensity of the focused light, different processes takes place. At very low intensity, the irradiated material simply gets heated. There is a heat being produced. A laser light is coming, it is focused on this target, there is a heat will be produced. As we increase the intensity of the incident radiation, the temperature increases and reaches the melting point of the target material and melts the upper layer of the target. At very high intensities, when the boiling point is crossed, the molten material evaporates, leading to creation of a hole in the material. This intensity region is used for the drilling applications in the target. At even higher intensities, when the intensity exceeds 10 to power 9 watt per centimeter square, the evaporated material gets ionized, leading to formation of a surface plasma. The plasma formation by means of the focused laser light is referred to as the laser produced plasma. The typical densities of such plasmas are 10 to power 22 per centimeter cube, and the temperature is about 100 electron. This is a graph between the plasma density and the temperature. At the low density and low temperature, we have auroras and flames that is inside the Earth's atmosphere. As we go towards sun, the density also rises and the temperature also rises. And for fusion in the lab, we need a much higher density and a much higher temperature. This is the magnetic confinement fusion. And the fusion of their confinement schemes that we will discuss in the next module, the magnetic confinement and the inertial confinement. This is the solar core. which is high dense, high temperature. The parameters of these different plasmas that we have, the densities of these plasmas vary. You can see from 10 to power 6 in the Earth's atmosphere to 10 power 26 in the stars. Quite a long range of densities. And similarly, the corresponding temperatures like zero point 0.1 electron volt to 2 into 10 20, 2 into 10 power 3 electron volts. So there's quite a large range of temperature and the densities we have. And I end this module here. Thanks for your patient listening. And the second module, we will be dealing with the plasma applications